Record. There we go. All right, what is happening,
All right.
people? Welcome back to the Brothers Geek Out channel. It's G-Man out here, and I'm joined by special guest who's no stranger, Mark Caparros. Do check him out on Instagram, and he's also Muay Thai Fit for 40s, right? So when you have a
That's
chance,
it. Yeah.
but when he's not doing Muay Thai and beating the shit out of people, he is also a comic book fan, and we're gonna be talking Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever.
Kind of
We're
forever.
out. If you this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie, then don't watch this. Come back to it later, but we're gonna spoil the shit out of it. We're gonna get emotional. We're gonna break it down, give you our thoughts. But Mark, man, thank you for connecting, man. How you doing, man? It's been a while. How's everything?
Yeah, it's been going good, bro. Yeah, just been training. I got a race next week. It's called High Rocks. So I've been training for that for the last few months. So yeah, so just been
Nice.
focusing on that and work obviously. So
Yeah.
how
When
are
you
you,
say
bro? How's
race,
Dubai?
yeah, yeah. I was gonna quickly ask, how long's the race? What do you mean, like a marathon thing?
No, it's actually a fitness race. So it's 8 1 kilometer runs,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then
And the
after
best
each
time.
kilometer there's yeah, and then after each 1 kilometer there's like a workout. So
Oh, I
there's like a
see.
ski erg, sled push, sled pull, etc., burpees, all
Nice.
that thing.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
sounds good, brother. Sounds good. You're still on it. Dubai's great,
yeah,
bro. Dubai's awesome. It's been a bit of a struggle to settle down because it's not as fast as Asia and fast paced as Asia and efficient in
yeah,
regards
right.
to like services and stuff. So I've had to
Yeah,
lower my expectations and relax a little bit. So
yeah,
we're almost getting there to settle down, but in general, we're enjoying it. We like it, and hopefully, once we settle down, we can reap the benefits of Dubai and just enjoy it a bit more. But yeah, it's great, man. It's been a great move. But the only regret is, like I said to you, we don't get the movies as early as Asia because Black Panther came out for you lot on Wednesday, and that's how it was
yeah,
awesome.
man.
But it came out for us on Thursday, and then I watched it Thursday. You've obviously seen it twice already,
Yep,
right?
yep,
That's which is awesome.
yep.
Well, let's get into it, man, because I have to start off, man. This movie, and again, spoiler alerts, people. Bro, I've listen. Only three movies in my life has made me cry. Right, two of them
Yeah,
was like teary eye and a little bit. This one had me in a mess, bro. I think it was one of the
yeah,
best tributes to not just a character but an actor, Chadwick Boseman, and then King T'Challa. The tribute toward for him was absolutely amazing, and that last.
yeah.
It started off with a tribute with him that got me emotional, but that last part got me, and I was just a mess, bro.
Yeah.
I was just complete mess, complete mess. I'm being real, man. I literally lost it. I just got so emotional. I was telling my wife, I almost felt like I lost a brother. Like
Yeah,
that scene, and I'm going straight to the end because that's the most impactful
yeah,
part. It got me. That scene when she was sitting at the end with the fire and whatnot, and was gonna like basically make peace with her brother's death and everything, and then she
yeah,
had the flashback of him and he was smiling, and you just see Chadwick Boseman's face, and but I felt like
yeah.
I lost a brother, and I just started weeping, man. Like, it got me, like. So I just wanted to start with that, man. How was it for you, bro? Like, what was your experience like?
Yeah, so that part that got me as well because I remember like 3 times tearing up that I got a bit emotional, but I think that was probably one of the last parts because, like I said, it was like you lost your own brother. It was just because of the flashbacks they were having. It was just all these key moments, and you're thinking about maybe like your own life, like with your own bros or your blood brother or your other bros that
Yeah.
you got these memories with, and it was just exactly that same kind of that feeling that you get.
Definitely, definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
I think this is one of the like they've done loads of tributes, not just comic book movies, but in general towards different actors who've passed away or characters and whatnot. For me, I think this was the most perfect one. I mean, I don't know nothing about
yeah,
filmmaking or whatnot, and I hope his family see this and think it's perfect because obviously it means more to them, and I'm sure they'll see it as a great tribute. But I thought, overall, if my initial reactions to this movie, and we'll get into it, but I thought it was just an amazing tribute to Chadwick Boseman, an amazing tribute to King T'Challa, and I think they just done it
yeah,
so well. I mean, the beginning started off with a tribute him. That whole Marvel logo was like a minute of silence for him, but it was just
yeah,
all Chadwick Boseman, which was very emotional and whatnot. And then the
yeah,
funeral they had was just a great tribute to him. And then a great character build for the new Black Panther, which felt very, I'm gonna be real when I say this, right? Disney's very woke, and that's not a bad thing, but
Yeah,
for me, I've always said if you force it, then it just becomes bad. I don't want to see it. But this was the first one where I've seen where it wasn't forced, man. I accept the
yeah,
character build towards our new Black Panther. Like everything was awesome, and I'm like, I accept you as my new Black Panther. You were awesome. Like Shuri was
yeah,
amazing. The character
yeah,
build, and I accept her as Black Panther is amazing. So I thought they done that pretty good too.
yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, because like the opening scene that just set the tone for the whole movie, and how they used real elements of his life of how he passed away. Like he didn't tell anyone he was sick. Everyone found out at the end, and they used it exactly in the movie. And even at the end, that it was only the family knew what was going on.
Yeah.
The Nakia and the son. So yeah, I really like how they did that.
And I'm
Um,
sure I'm sure they spoke to his family and got their permission.
yeah,
I want to believe they did and got their permission to say, can we do it this way? To just, I mean, they done it so like all of that, as you just said, like just made it even more real. Because the last time I
yeah,
got emotional, I didn't cry, but it was Fast and Furious when Paul Walker passed away, and they had that
yeah,
little
yeah,
tribute. And just because he passed away in real life, it just kind of hit. Right, but in this one again, it was the same thing because Chadwick Boseman passed away in real life, and they made it so kind of relatable, as you said, how it actually happened in real life. It was
yeah,
just it hit so differently, man. It hit different,
yeah,
especially like I was already like tearing up, but when his son goes, when she asked him what's your real name, he goes, I'm T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. Ah
yeah,
man, I
yeah,
just
yeah.
bro,
That was
I was
like,
like this. I lost it. I lost it. I started crying. And my wife was just like rubbing my shoulder. I was like, I'm done.
yeah, because my my wife was like looking at me. I could see her like looking at the side, and then like there's a few little,
Well, I feel like
few
as I get
teardrops right down.
older, my emotions take over, man. As I get older,
Yeah,
I want to cry over silly shit. Not silly shit, but I
yeah,
get too emotional, man. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm letting it out. I don't know what it is, man. But
yeah,
let's go through the movie, man, because obviously
yeah,
Namor was a big Namor, sorry, I should say, was a big part of the movie, and I loved his
yeah,
presence. I think he had a great presence on the screen. We got Riri Williams on it as well. I think that there was a
yeah,
little bit of introduction for her. But let's go
yep,
through. I mean, as you said, the movie, the
sure,
beginning set the tone in like real world and whatnot, what happened to Chadwick Boseman, and then it kind of said 1 year later, and we kind of got into the movie. Like, what was your thoughts? Like, if you want to break it down, you said you got some notes as well. Let's just go through
yeah.
what your thoughts were on it.
Well, the thing is, I mean, overall, the movie, there was not one wasted minute. There was not one wasted scene. Everything had a purpose, and they intertwined it so well. Like, there was a couple of moments where they started something at the beginning of the movie, like that scene where the Queen and Shuri, her mum, they're at the riverbank, and she was about to tell him about the T'Challa's son, and that's when Namor came out. But
Mm,
they just tied it brilliantly to the end, where Shuri's like, "Did my mum meet him? Did she know?" It was just brilliant because I actually heard that they did a lot of reshoots,
I
and
see.
that's
Okay.
probably so it was just on YouTube, and I heard that they did a lot of reshoots, and that's what they probably did was just they just combined everything together and make sure it was tight, everything tied in. Um,
I
yeah, so
agree.
that just from end to end, yeah,
It didn't feel like because it was almost like a 3 hour movie. It did not feel like that at all. And you're right,
yeah,
every scene had a purpose. Like everything had a purpose and a cap. Because all those actors, right, all of them just had a big on-screen presence. You know what I mean? Like they
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah, exactly, all of them, yeah,
yeah, and what I loved about this, and listen, I think if you've been seeing the podcast this year, I've been not shitting on Marvel. I love all of this stuff, but
yeah,
recent movies, I've just been kind of like, yeah, they're okay, but not as spectacular as they have been. But this one
yep,
finished off Phase 4 amazing. Look, Phase 4 has been all about loss and mourning and all that sort of stuff, and this one just
yep,
finished that. Right, we had Doctor Strange with Wanda. We had
yeah,
Spider-Man, right? He ended up being by himself. Like Shuri and
yeah,
Spider-Man, I would love for them to freaking get together and talk because they're both alone right now. But like
yeah,
this one
yeah, yeah,
finished phase 4 in that whole mourning phase and just loss of everyone. But I think this movie finished phase 4 so good. I mean, I'm not saying Marvel was slacking, just saying that it
Yeah.
just wasn't as good as, you know, the different phases. But I'm so glad this one just kind of finished well. But yeah, I'm glad, like you're right. They did kind of every purpose of the movie, every minute of the movie had a purpose. What did you think of Namor, bro? Because I think he had a great on-screen presence. I think he looked awesome. Right? Don't get me wrong when I
Yeah.
say this, right? Because you know, generally you expect to see the most buffest dude and ripped and
Yeah.
whatnot. In a way, as weird as it sounds, and I don't have to put it in words, but I'm glad that he just kind of looked normal, if that made sense, right? Like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying he was out of shape or in shape, but he just didn't look like, you know, ripped and stuff. And I really suited him so well. And his
Yeah.
backstory, and they kind of the on the Aztecs, and again going back to, you know, the colonizers and all that sort of stuff. I thought that they touched on that
Oh,
really well. They
yeah.
didn't force it too much. I didn't feel like they forced it too much, but they touched on it, which generally, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's not many big blockbuster movies that touch on that. Like, we get a lot on, you know, Africa and slavery and all that sort of stuff, but not much of what happened in South America. I'm sure there's movies and stuff out there, but not
Yeah.
movies of this capacity that touches on the colonization that happened in South America, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The thing is with that's what I love about, particularly about the first movie and this movie. Like the first movie, Killmonger, I'll bring it up now. He speaks the truth. Like he's like, yeah, the colonizers, they've screwed over Africa, they've screwed over the black people. It's been happening for centuries. He brought it up again here, and Namor was just, he brought up another side, like I said, for South America and, you know, the Spanish colonizers, and I can relate to it because I'm Filipino. I was born in the Philippines, so um, that's something I've seen and understood growing up firsthand. So yeah, it's just, this movie was just calling out, you know, like the second scene where they broke into Mali, they're trying to steal the vibranium tools. They had the mercenaries that were hired by the actual states in the United
Yes.
Nations. So it's all these like Western powers, European powers are just, you know, they say, yeah, we're good, but behind closed doors, they're taking advantage of people, you know. And I'm really glad that the movie's like calling them out. Like I said, blockbuster movies don't necessarily do this all the time, but they're just calling them out, and it's very obvious.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna be surprised if there's no big movement that pops out of
well, as
it.
weird as it sounds, this is one of the reasons why I did want to do the breakdown with you, because of, as you said, you're Filipino, and that was colonized. Correct me if I'm wrong. By, was it Spanish as well?
Yeah, Spanish as well. Yeah,
Yeah, so as that's why I was like, yeah, I want to catch up with Mark, because Namor had that, right, and we saw that in his backstory and everything, and it was
yeah,
very touching. I mean, I think like, and I love the way they did him, because like, you know, you didn't want him. He's such a great character. You want to see more of him, and you didn't want him to be a bad guy. And I don't think he was. But and
no,
again,
no,
when he did attack because of, you know, what happened and whatnot, and the
yeah.
queen died, and he eventually killed the queen. I was like, oh man, you crossed the line, bro. I wish you didn't do it. I
Oh,
thought there would have been a bit of mercy and whatnot, but he crossed the line. I was like, shit. You kind of went
yeah,
past that part where you're not the villain, but you are at this very moment for this scene or whatnot. But you're
yeah,
right. The real world, like, life aspect of, you know, the Western world kind of, you
mm,
know, stealing resources from the rest of the world and whatnot, Africa, Asia, all that
yeah,
sort of stuff. And, you know, Wakanda has the resources to protect itself, right? Which is what,
yeah,
you know, in the real world, you kind of wish countries were able to protect themselves, but that's not the real world situation, unfortunately.
yeah,
But they definitely touched on it, man. I mean, as they were like, you have to share your resources, blah, blah, blah. And then she just put them on the
yeah,
spot. You kind of wish in the real world that would happen, but that would never happen,
yeah,
unfortunately. But it was such an
yeah,
amazing thing that they touched on. And again, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything's wrong with the woke culture, but again, when you force it too much and force a message, it kind of gets like, guys, calm down. But I love the way the storytelling and the way they did this. It wasn't forced. It wasn't just kind of like, you know, the Western world, this and that. It
yeah,
just goes so well with the storyline, and unfortunately, it caused a conflict between two nations who were affected by, you know, the Westerns trying to
yeah,
take their resources and stuff. Because, you know, end
yeah,
of the day, we should be, as as a whole in the global world, we should be as one. But especially if you're two nations who are protecting your people and your resources, then you should combine. But unfortunately, when someone does have the wrong intentions, like the Killmonger or maybe Namor, who has, a bit more of a violent intentions, is that's why it might
Yeah.
cause conflict. So it kind of shows like Wakanda's principles, right? Yes, we
Yeah.
are protecting our people, but if we're seeing that, the world's in trouble, like Namor did want to attack the world, they jumped in, you know what I mean? They still saved the world
Yeah.
in a matter of that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is with Namor, like he was like trying to protect his people. Like he's been their protector for like 500 years or whatever it is. So his intentions are for his people, which it's hard to fault. Like, yeah, he killed the queen, but like he said to her, "Goes, if you do this, I will come back and kill you." And that's what he did. And that was so cold when he did that when he said that on the beach. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was like really cold.
So he's so good. I mean, I'm not familiar with the actor, and I should know his name to be honest. And let me Google it.
Yeah,
But his presence, man, was so good. Like I
yeah,
was just mesmerized. Like everyone did, but every time he came on board, I kind of wanted to see more because he was just so
yeah,
good on screen as Namor. My only criticism, I had a few criticisms of them, or not criticism, questions. Like you cared about your people so much. When Thanos snapped, where were you in that war? Because if you're 50% of your population of your people went, wouldn't you want to come on land and find out what happened? So I
yeah.
wish that question was answered because Thanos did snap half the
It's a good
universe.
point. Yeah,
So I was
yeah,
wondering, like, where was you at this whole time? But you're right. When the passion of his people, I mean, that's just such an amazing. It's hard to fault
yeah,
them. It's hard to fault. You kind of like, yeah, I agree with you, like in some sense. And to
yeah.
Google his name.
Um, yeah. Just on that, when you commented on his appearance, it was kind of good that he wasn't ripped and everything because that's probably more suits someone that's always at sea because you're not exactly ripped. So he's deep underwater, so he's probably going to have a little bit of body fat on him to keep himself warm and buoyancy and that kind of thing. So if you have a look at like Olympic swimmers, they're not all like ripped bodies and everything.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Phelps was
Yeah,
probably, I think he was the exception, right? But in general, yeah, you're
yeah,
right. Like they're not.
yeah.
His name is, and I'm gonna butcher this, bro. Tanuk
Tenoch
Huerta.
Huerta,
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I
Yeah,
think.
you
Yeah,
got it better than I do. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely awesome presence. And also when he said that I'm a mutant, bro, my heart, man, I was like, oh, he
yeah,
said the word so clearly and beautifully. It was so good, bro. I loved it because
yeah,
I know Kamala Khan was the first, I guess, the first mutant that they announced in the MCU and all that sort of stuff.
yep,
And obviously we saw more in Doctor Strange, but I think he's the first one in the MCU to say I'm a mutant. I'm pretty sure,
yep,
apart from the old Fox characters and all that sort of stuff. So, but when he said
yeah,
that, I was like, oh, that sounded so good.
yeah, yeah. Like phase 5 and 6 are going to be
It's gonna be
like
crazy.
followed up, man.
It's crazy. What did you think of Riri Williams? I know they introduced her. She's Ironheart.
Yeah,
I felt like that obviously this movie wasn't about her and to introduce her much. So I did come out the movie kind of forgetting about her, but I believe in this was just an introduction, and in like Armor
yeah, yeah,
Wars,
yeah,
they're gonna really now they just introduced this very intelligent girl who who's messing around with Stark Tech or building her own things, and then they'll build her more. But what did you think of her in general, like the introduction of her?
she fit in like really well. Like she's like this black girl. She's gone to university, like one of the biggest ones in the US, or a famous one.
MIT, yeah.
Um,
And it was the same
yeah,
one that
MIT.
Tony Stark. Remember in Civil War, he gave the foundation. Remember he
Yeah, he was
granted
there
all of it.
too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep, yeah. So that was really cool. I think she fit in perfectly. Like she wasn't a sidekick, but she was a good fit next to Shuri. So yeah, so they made a great partnership because like Shuri's already this tech genius, and Riri Williams, she's so like up and coming. She's almost like an apprentice kind of thing coming on board, because like
Yeah.
Shuri's like already a master, and Riri Williams is gonna be some of the apprentice that's coming on.
Yeah, definitely. I think they done well because at first I was kind of thinking like maybe they're gonna introduce her as the pop because they didn't mention Ironheart or none of that sort of stuff. She didn't.
Yeah,
They mentioned Stark Tech, but she didn't. I mean, I don't know her background to be honest, but she didn't really talk about her inspirations of, maybe Tony Stark or whatnot. Maybe Tony Stark doesn't inspire her and whatnot, but
yeah,
obviously she's kind of like the new Iron Man or whatnot. But then after the
yeah,
movie was done and I saw the full movie, I was like, I'm glad you didn't concentrate on her because this was about the new Black Panther. This was about Shuri
yeah,
and her journey. But I'm like, you set it up so well that we're gonna see more of Riri Williams in the future, and you're gonna, they're gonna give us more of her in. I think Iron, what's it called? Iron Armored Wars. I think.
Ironheart. No, no, I think she's either getting a TV series or a movie. It might be a TV series because they
Okay.
changed Armor Wars to a movie. Yeah, but she is getting her own thing. So, but to your point about the woke culture and stuff, I mean, this has been brilliant because she's going to be an inspiration to a lot of young black females that want to strive and go in that direction. So man, that's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think that, like, because like, I don't know how, like I said, I haven't read about her much in the comics, but yeah, she could definitely be an inspiration, like young black, or just colored people in general. You can be a tech
Yeah,
genius and all that sort of stuff in general as
yeah,
well. So I think they done great with her. I think another person who stole the show was M'Baku. Like he was one of my favorites in the
yeah,
first movie, and in this one
yeah,
again,
yeah,
I mean, because he looks like a freaking giant, right? The way he's
yeah,
portrayed or whatnot. And then his just character is just so charismatic and the way he calls him Fishman and stuff like that. I
yeah,
love his character. I love his presence and whatnot.
yeah. Well, he to me, he really showed that he's a really great leader, and that's why at the end he ended up becoming king of Wakanda, like because I don't think anyone was going to challenge him. So that was actually a key thing because throughout the movie, Shuri was saying, "I hate tradition. I'm all about tech. Tradition's like for your old people." And at the end, it was like Shuri was off in Haiti, and M'Baku was there, like I'm challenging for the king of Wakanda, and I thought that was really cool because his character development really showed what kind of a leader he was. He was like really wise. He was understanding. He was empathetic with Shuri. Yeah, and he's already a great leader of the Jabari tribe. So yeah, it was kind of like a great fit because throughout the movie, all the elders were coming to him, and he was like this sort of rock, I guess. This stable force. Like with all the tribal elders, like a voice of reason. So he was really good.
Yeah, but as you said that, you gave me goosebumps because I didn't even think of it that way. Actually, I was like, you're right. The way they built him from the first movie all the way to now, like you're right. They built him into such a great leader, and the fact that when the Queen passed away, and he was talking to Siri and said, "Look, I promised your brother to guide you and whatnot." That got me emotional as well. But the
Yeah,
way he was trying to, because he knew Suri was in a bad place. Like he knew
yeah,
vengeance has consumed her and whatnot, and he was
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
guide her. Like out of all the people, he was the one that was telling her like you need to do what's right. You know what your mother would have wanted and whatnot. You're right. He made a great lead. I didn't even think of it that way, but that was freaking awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a great leader of Wakanda, man. That's freaking, yeah, I didn't even think of it that way, bro. Shit, that gave me goosebumps, man. He
yeah,
was freaking awesome. He was one of my, from the first movie, he was one of my favorite characters. And even in the first movie, when Killmonger took over, they already went to him like for
yeah,
protection and whatnot. So he's always kind of been there,
yeah,
as you said, as like a leader. Maybe he needed to mature and whatnot, and then over
yeah,
these movies, he's definitely matured and showed that shit, he's definitely, could be the leader. He's been a great leader, freaking absolutely awesome. And
mm,
again, he's got great, not just presence on the screen, but he's quite funny as well, right? He's one of the
yeah, yeah,
almost like comedic characters of the movie as well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. The other thing they connected was, and I was trying to think of her name, the agent who's connecting all the Thunderbolt characters together.
Oh, oh,
Val,
Val.
that's it. Yes, I didn't expect
Yeah,
her in this.
yeah. That was a big surprise. Because when did she? Because when she came out, it was on the bridge scene. Was it the bridge scene? Yeah, there was a bridge scene after after they came and took Shuri and Riri. Um, yeah, she's like, "Oh, CIA director." I was like, "What?" Because after that stuff with Falcon and Winter Soldier, like you didn't know who she was, how she fit in. you just knew that she was like recruiting all these people, and then she comes out as CIA director. And then there was another one where like she was married to Everett Ross.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that was that was like a what? That was a big what F moment. So that was like really interesting. That was a good twist.
And but in my head, I was thinking like, who is she here to recruit? Because you know, when you see her, you're like, okay, Thunderbolts. She's already got US agent. She's talked to Black Widow's sister. I forgot her name, whatever her name was. I forgot her name. But like
Helena Belova.
that's it, yeah. So
Helena Belova. Yeah,
she's been around, and
yeah,
I'm just trying to think, all right, well, who are you here to recruit? Or what are you here for? You know what I mean? Because in my head, I was like, is it Namor? Like, you trying to get Namor in the thing? But I don't think he's going down that line. But it's
yeah.
interesting. I mean, this is what I love about the MCU, like when they do have these connections, because it just gets your brain thinking like, what are you doing here? What's your purpose? What's the meaning of you being here? But I thought
Yeah,
that was a great little thing that they put in. They give her a bit. They're building her, which is again another reason why I
yeah,
love this movie, because they slowly build, like, you know what I mean, like slowly, and
yeah,
then eventually when she's in, be it Thunderbolts or whatever, you're like, okay, I already know her, so I'm ready to explore your story or whatever it is. Like, I'm ready to go on this
yeah,
mission with you. So I love the way they do that, man.
yeah. Well, it's gonna be this is gonna be a really interesting one because Bucky is part of the Thunderbolts, and Bucky's like this with Wakanda. So, like she said, like she would love it if the US had vibranium.
Yeah.
So if they go into Wakanda to take this vibranium, it's like, where does that leave Bucky? It's like,
You just reminded me of another
so,
one of my points actually, that I made. I was talking to my wife about, like at the funeral in the beginning, with King
yeah,
T'Challa. I was thinking, I wish some of the Avengers were there, like maybe old school Cap or whatnot. But then I thought Bucky, because Bucky actually spent a couple years in Wakanda.
oh
So I thought
yeah, yeah,
I thought he should. It would have been great if he was at the funeral. I mean, obviously he kept it quiet, to be honest with you. So maybe the Avengers will eventually find out later. So maybe they don't even know yet. They've gone down
yeah,
that line, because in real life nobody knew anyway. So I guess you can say that. But it would have been good. I guess it would have been a bit more touching if some of the Avengers were there. I mean, I was just gonna say old school Cap, because that would have made me cry even
yeah,
more. And then
yeah,
Bucky at least, because he spent a couple years in Wakanda with them. But that was another
yeah,
point I was thinking. I kind of wish they had that, but you know, it's still amazing the way they did it.
yeah. I mean, he might have been, but he probably might not have made the cut. So
True,
you just
that's
never
true.
know. Yeah.
What else about any other notes that you picked on, any other things you wanted to talk about it?
Shuri, she was amazing. She was like this reluctant hero. I mean, she went on this like hero's journey kind of a thing, but it was a really, she was really in an effed up place, especially after her mum died. Um, and that just put her over the edge. And so she's like this tech genius. Now she's got to become, she's been thrown into this uncomfortable place. So she had to really get out of her comfort zone because she's no leader. She never saw herself as a Black Panther. Um, and now she's just in this spot where she's been forced to be it. She's the new Black Panther, and it's not where she wanted to be. But yeah, it just the rage in her, like I mean, all that anger. I thought she was gonna like go ham on like the on all of Namor's people. I would have liked to have seen more. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just wanted to see more rage out of it. But yeah, it's just
Yeah, I really think they expressed that rage when she saw Killmonger, when she went to the
yeah,
ancestral place. Like
yeah,
that really expressed, okay, like where she was in that place in that time, because you have that whole inspirational, you know, training montage or whatever you want to call it, when she was
yeah,
building, when she was finding out the DNA of the flower. I forgot what it's called.
yeah,
So you think, you know, through that she's gonna come to a good place and whatnot. But when she went to the ancestral place, it just reminded you she's still in a negative place. Like, she wants
yeah,
vengeance
yeah,
and whatnot. But
yeah,
then she used the same line, you know, when they had the fight and she had the spear to his neck. And she said the same line that Black Panther, King T'Challa, said in Civil War, like, vengeance has consumed us. And that got me
yeah,
too, because it just purely reminded me of Civil War when King T'Challa, when Black Panther was going to kill, what's his name? The
Um,
guy purple face.
Aaron,
Ban
yeah,
Zemo,
Aaron,
yes. He said the
yeah,
exact
Zemo,
same
yeah,
word, vengeance has consumed us. And then he just knew, like, he's noble, he's a noble king, you know, and I'm glad she
yeah,
saw that nobility and she obviously followed her brother, which was kind of like you knew that was gonna happen in some way, but just the way they done it, I felt like it was just done right, you know what I mean? It just wasn't,
yeah.
it was, these things are kind of predictable, but also like they done it in a way where you're like, maybe she is gonna kill this dude because boy, she's not, you know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like she's
I
not
thought she
everyone.
was, yeah, yeah. Like you said, yeah, it was just done right because it's sort of like just teetering on that edge where is she gonna do it or not? Is she gonna do it? Because you could just feel it, yeah,
Yeah, it was definitely like, they definitely built it right, man. And I think the character building for her was absolutely awesome. Like you felt her
yeah,
journey all the way from the beginning to the end. And like I said, for me, I accepted her as Black Panther. There was not a moment in that, or even thinking about it, I came out thinking, you kind of forced it just because you're trying to be woke, put a black female
yeah,
in there and say that's it. But they done it so well. I mean, look, obviously the
yeah,
passing of Chadwick Boseman changed a lot of things and whatnot. And I mean, again, I don't know his family and all that sort of stuff, and I like it. As weird as it sounds, I was crying because I felt I lost a brother as well. I kept on saying to my
yeah,
wife, I'm gonna get emotional. I kept saying to my wife, like he's got a smile. When you see him smile, it's like like it's like peace. He's got a face of
yeah,
peace. I don't know why. It just gets me. But like they used it so well. I don't know. Hopefully that's not the wrong term to use, but they used the situation so well to build Shuri into our new Black Panther, and I can't wait to see
yeah,
more of her in the MCU, and we'll see her obviously in the future movies and whatnot. But this is the
yeah,
end of Phase 4, and again, Phase 4 has just been all about loss and grieving and whatnot. But
yeah,
I'm looking forward to where they head in Phase 5 with the MCU and Kang the Conqueror. We're gonna get the next movie is going to be Ant-Man and Quantumania, and we're
yeah,
going to be introduced to Kang the Conqueror, and it's going to take us in a whole new way with the MCU.
mm,
But I would love to see more where they head it with Black Panther, where she fits in, with the Avengers, how they take King T'Challa's death. Maybe they won't speak about it no more. Maybe they just kind of move on and not speak about it out of
yeah,
respect for Chadwick Boseman. But it's a part of this legacy, and I just feel like you know Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, and now Suri. I think it's just again for just for anyone. I'm not gonna say just black young black children or whatnot, but just for all like be it immigrants or even white people, whatever. Just it's just an inspirational character, man. It's just so
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And actually, she when she entered in the middle of that tribal meeting, the elder meeting, where she just came down from the ship, like that one got me emotional, and it actually reminded me of when Luke Skywalker appeared in Mandalorian end of season 2, when he was fighting the droid. It was the same kind of moment that I felt. So I was just like, I didn't realize the impact, like the actual Black Panther character,
Yeah.
just had that kind of Luke Skywalker feeling for me. So I was just like, I thought that was like really cool. This when she landed and she's just like, and everyone's
And
like,
everyone just kind of touched her, and like
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that the
yeah,
way they kind of embraced her as well. I love that. You're
yeah,
right. It was just it's so much. And the great thing about it, it was like she's still Black Panther. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like when
yeah,
a new character, like for example Iron Man, and then we're gonna have Iron Heart. It's still
yeah,
within that realm, but it's a different character. This is just still Black Panther, but of course Shuri
yeah,
and King T'Challa and whatnot. But again, her presence is the Black Panther, and they came down, they accepted her, the way they all touched her to get that kind of inspiration. It was
yeah,
just so I don't know if she's still a leader or anything like that, but she definitely came across as someone that could be a good leader or whatnot, that could lead the tribe or
yeah,
gave them inspiration or whatnot, which was
yeah,
absolutely awesome.
yeah. I think that's why she split the roles because I don't think she wanted to lead in the way that a king or a queen could, like the way Mbako could, because her thing is to me she's just a tech genius. So she's not like, although she's not similar to like a Tony Stark, because Tony Stark's a little bit narcissistic and he's like, yeah, I got the solution, so let's go with it.
Yeah,
She's more she's more like, yeah, this is a problem, let's find a solution, and it's like a smart solution, and she thinks things through.
yeah,
And I think if she was going to be like the queen of Wakanda as well, I think that would, for her personally, would would interfere with that. It would, it's just not her jam to be sort of my royal subjects or that. It's not. I don't know. I just don't think it's her. But she's more leading by example, leading through her actions, and problem solving for the people. And her whole team was like that. She mentioned that at the beginning. It was like, yeah, we're just trying to solve problems, and and I
Yeah,
think that's kind of like she's kind of like a good bridge because as well. So that's the other thing that reminded me. She's more the generations like the Gen Z and the millennials, where they embrace technology. Where she's moving away, where T'Challa is like the old Gen X, like old my generation, where the tradition. So she's really showing that she's breaking away from that. So I thought that was really cool the way that they did that.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I think she's, as you said, she's leading an example of what her advantages are, right? She is the tech genius
Yeah,
and whatnot. So why shy away from that and just kind of inspire through that direction and whatnot? I mean, look, as a I mean, I'm obviously born and raised in the UK and whatnot. As I got older, I have embraced my culture, like my Bengali culture, a bit more. I don't know much of it, but just adding that
yeah,
in there, I hope she doesn't go away from her culture. Like, because I still love that
yeah,
Wakanda culture and everything, from the movie perspective. So it's great that she
yeah,
breaks away. I just hope that she embraces it still a little bit, you know what I mean? Just for
yeah,
Wakanda and stuff like that. But
yeah,
no, it's it's great that they did emphasize that that's her strength. She's a genius, tech
yeah,
genius. To God, like she's gonna lead in that direction, or just kind of help in that direction still, rather than just like sit on the throne and say, okay, I'm the queen now, and forget about that tech stuff.
yeah,
No, like that's your base. Like, why wouldn't you use that
yeah,
sort of thing? Um,
yeah.
Cool, man. Well, look, we got like 2 minutes left, bro. But I appreciate
Man, that's fast.
it was fast, right? I mean, I was like, I need to catch it. After watching this movie, and there's certain movies, I was like, I need to talk to people, right? And then you've seen it, obviously. I was like, I need to talk to Mark. I've got emotional damage right now. I need someone to
Yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah.
to. So I appreciate
It
you.
was a heavy movie, bro. It was a heavy movie. So
Definitely. I mean, there was no end credit scenes either, right? There was nothing at the end, if I remember. Like, it was one of the
no,
old.
there's nothing. Yeah,
So, I mean, I think, was it Endgames, which was the only one that didn't have that? I mean, obviously
yep.
they
No,
didn't.
you're right.
Yeah. So, I think again that was just a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. I feel like there was no, this was a movie to a tribute to him, and just kind of moving on, and we can all kind of. I feel like at the end when she accepted his, the grievance and made peace with his death, it was kind of for all of us as fans and whatnot to make peace with it as well, and whatnot. So that's why I feel they left
Yeah,
it with no end credit scene and everything.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, agree with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, man. Well, look, we're gonna get cut off by Zoom any minute now. But
All
bro,
right.
again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I haven't watched it again, but I will watching it again. I'm sure we'll talk more about it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I'm
for
gonna
your
watch it
time
a third time,
as
bro. Round
usual.
3.
Awesome. Well, cool, brother. Thanks everyone else for
All right,
watching.
bro.
Please do like,
Thanks for the invite.
subscribe. Yeah, check out Mark's Instagram. It is Muay Thai Fit.
MCAP Fitness. Yeah, MCAP Muay Thai Fitness 40s. Yeah,
All right,
Muay
check
Thai
it
Fit
out.
40s. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right, strike people. Take it easy. Let me go quick
So,
picture,
bro.
bro. We got a quick picture. Do some Wakanda shit, bro. All right, awesome. Got it.
All right,
Strikes,
bro.
brother. Take it easy, bro. Good to
All right.
catch up.
See you, bro.
See you,
All
bro.
right.
Bye.
See you, man.